This video was produced by The Top Cut. Be sure to check out thetopcut.net, your home for Pokemon TCG, tournament coverage, professional game analysis, and interviews with the best players in the world. Thanks for watching.
Hey guys, this is Pram, and welcome to the top 4 of the Illinois State Championship. On our left, we have Kyle's Pooka Sucevich, and on our right, we have Rod Downs. Both these players are playing Zekrom Eelektrik, and we should be in for a pretty good mirror match. Looks like Kyle is going first, and he starts with the Dynamo, the 30 HP one. So pretty fortunate that he got to go first. You don't never want to start with the 30 HP Dynamo and then get Tyrogued out of the game. So here's a dual ball and double heads, not bad. Let's see. So Kyle has a Mewtwo on the bench. You never really want that on the bench, but he put it down there just so he doesn't get knocked out by a random Tyrogue knockout like I just described. So he has 2 heads on dual ball. What do you get? Well, you can get a Dynamo and a Thundurus. Yeah, depending on what his hand was, probably not Thundurus. If he had like another Dynamo, that'd be great. Like, you ideally want like 3 Dynamos out. So when one gets captured, you can still evolve 2 more. Catcher Tyrogued specifically. So he does have a pretty ideal turn 1. You know, he has 2 Dynamos on the bench or on the field, and a Thundurus right on the bench, ready to use charge. Gets 2 Zekroms, an Eel, and a bunch of lightning energy. I think I saw a junk arm too, so his hand is actually pretty loaded to do a lot of cool things next turn. But let's see how Rob will respond to this, except for the Mewtwo, a pretty much ideal turn 1 from Kyle. Alright, so let's see here. Rob has the lightning energy in his hand, so he will be able to charge turn 1. Not sure if he wants to do that. You know, he may if he has the Tyrogue option, then that will be very strong. I'm not sure if he plays that or not, though. I'm just going to assume yes until until I suspect otherwise. So we do have a 40 HP Dynamo, which is a really good one to play because of all the Tyrogues that have been running around recently. You never starting with the 30 HP Dynamo and then just losing the game right there. Oh, and wow, we see no supporter from Rob. That's pretty huge. Now, even if Kyle does have an N in his hand, he definitely does not want to use it. But Rob just having basically the same turn Kyle had, but way less optimal. He does have an Eel on the bench, so that's not bad. So let's see, what can Kyle do here? Well, he just drew a level ball, and he has a Zekrom in his hand, so I think a junk arm too. So he will be able to do a Bolt Strike if he wanted to, I believe. I think if he had the junk arm. I'm not too sure on that anymore. But he will get 2 Eelektриks out this turn, which is going to be very huge. So Kyle's going for the Disaster Bolt route. A pretty safe play. You know, this matchup really revolves around Thunduruses and like playing chicken with Mewtwo's. It's like, I don't want to play Mewtwo unless you play Mewtwo. Do you have Mewtwo? Let's just not play Mewtwo until we absolutely have to. So we do see a Zekrom come down and a Disaster Volt. I think that's a junk arm. Maybe he only had 2 energy. Yeah, if he only had 2 energy, then the junk arm 2 lightning away for another trainer. But it wouldn't work with Zekrom. You need 2 energy to junk arm away, and then a third one to attach. So Rob does have catcher plus power and a DCE. Let's see. Oh, he even has a Pont. So he must have drawn that Pont right off the bench, or right off the top draw, and Mewtwo comes down. Very I don't really like that play. Basically because now Kyle has the option to go, well, Dynamotor, DCE, catcher, plus power, knockout. That's the game, pretty much. So, I don't know how I feel about that Mewtwo drop. You're much better off just leaving it in the deck and just drawing it later when you need it, rather than going, yeah, go Mewtwo. So, Rob is going to let's see what he discards here. Discards Lightning, which is fine. I mean, usually I like to discard the DCE in this case, but because Thundurus has damage on it, then it doesn't really matter, because you can get knocked out by Mewtwo, you can get knocked out by pretty much anything at this point. So, yeah, but just a little tip: if you don't run Shaman, then a lot of times it's better to discard the DCE. That way, you don't get Mewtwo'd out of the game. All right, so let's see. Rob, sends up Zekrom, and what do you do here as Rob? You're in a pretty bad position already. Your start was pretty bad compared to Kyle's. Kyle's start couldn't really get much better. But I don't believe he played a supporter, so he's lacking on that. Whereas Rob may have the answer to everything. Let's see. So he junk arms for back catcher and plays collector. Alright, this is going to get him a bunch of Dynamos here, maybe even a second Thundurus. And he's going to be able to, if he has another supporter in his hand for next turn, he's going to be able to pull back into this game. He's not out of it, but Kyle has the board advantage as of right now. Okay, so let's see, what would you get? Probably 2 Dynamos and a Thundurus would be ideal. Maybe a 40 and a 30 HP Dynamo. If he mixes them up, he might play all 40. I'm not really sure. And yeah, so Kyle's hand is looking kind of lackluster. He hasn't really done much. There's even a Shaman. Can't tell what the other cards are. But yeah, Kyle's hand is kind of lackluster. It doesn't have much. He can junk arm back a dual ball if he really needs to, but it can't really do much. So he does play down a Dynamo, and the other one was Cleffa. So he brings up the Eel, attaches, and probably is just going to pass here. Just waiting, trying to buy time. So Kyle has the Tyrogue and has a DCE. So if he has catcher too, that's something on Rob's field's going to get knocked out. Let's see here. Yeah, Tyrogue is very good in this mirror matchup. There's a lot of things that have 30 HP in the deck, like Dynamos, Cleffas, other Tyrogues. So it's very strong with the current metagame of a lot of 30 HP Dynamos. But you are going to see a DCE retreat for Zekrom, and he's just going to go Outrage here. Setting up for Rob cannot use Bolt Strike because he would just get Outrage back. And if Rob leaves his active Zekrom up, then it's just going to get Bolt Striked by Kyle's Zekrom. So he really needs to retreat it and get it. Okay, so interesting end. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Kyle was basically not drawing anything. He hasn't played a supporter in a couple turns. His hand was pretty low. And you have Cleffa on the bench. If you really need a new hand, you could have sent up Cleffa, retreated, sent up Cleffa, and eked, rather than letting Kyle back into this game. Yeah, I feel like N was the one supporter you're not allowed to play in this situation. If you have Cleffa, if you didn't have Cleffa, you could have justified, well, I guess I have to. But because you do, then I don't think I like that. But we do see a level ball coming in. Gonna evolve that 40 HP. No, he should evolve the 30 HP Dynamo here, unless he has a second Eel. Because you have Cleffa, it does give you free retreat, so you don't need the 30 HP Dynamo to just be a liability. You want it to be an electric. You want it to have more HP so it doesn't get knocked out easily. So he's already attached for the turn. Oh, he does have another level ball. Okay, good. So he's going to get another Eelektrik here. Going to evolve the other Dynamo. Yep. And so just ignore what I said about previously about the Dynamos and Eelektриks. Though it is a good general rule. If you have a free retreater, don't leave 30 HP Dynamo unevolved. So what do you do as Rob? You're already attached. You have 2 Dynamotors available. And you can have Shaman. You have Shaman in the deck somewhere. Maybe in your hand, I don't know. He does attach an Eviolite, so that will force a plus power from Kyle if he does want to Bolt Strike. If you're Rob, you might just, depending on how many energies you have in the discard, you might just power up a Eelektrik for retreating purposes, or you can give an energy to Mewtwo and just hope Kyle doesn't have DCE and Catcher and plus power. Okay. So Kyle has a new hand of 6. He's going to gear. I think I did see a supporter, but it is good to gear here anyways. That way, later on in the game, your junk arms also become supporters. It's very good in the end game. I know, end game. The card end game, yeah. So, so he does gear and then Ponce. So that's the reason why he does the gear first. So if you're Kyle, what are you looking for? Well, there's 2 options. Well, actually, there's a bunch of options. You can get Catcher. That works fine. You can get Catcher plus power. If you just get Catcher, you can Catcher up Cleffa and knock it out. If you get Catcher plus power, you can knock out Eel. Now, if you pull off like the hat trick, Catcher plus power DCE, you can knock out Mewtwo with your own Mewtwo. But he gets a level ball that's going to get another Dynamo. And if you only got energy plus power, well, you just knock out the Zekrom on the Actus. So there's a bunch of combinations that Kyle can draw. I don't know if he got any of them. We'll see. Let's see what Kyle does here. He gets a Dynamo, and I don't know what the rest of his hand is yet. See, and lightning, 2 lightning. I think I saw Juniper too, but that's irrelevant for this turn. It'll help him next turn though. I don't think Kyle hit a Catcher, or a plus power, so he's going to be in a little bit of a sticky situation here. What do you do here as Kyle? Well, you can Bolt Strike, does 100, or you can Disaster Volt. He's looking like he's going for Disaster Volt here. And is just going to Outrage. Okay. So, I'm sorry, not Disaster Volt. He's going to attach to Thunderous and then Outrage. So that makes it so Rob has to use Bolt Strike here. It's to knock out Zekrom with Zekrom, which will put him within range of Disaster Volt. So this is a very nice move from Kyle. Really playing to avoid using Mewtwo. He doesn't want to use it unless he's knocking out another Mewtwo, which is quite possible given that Rob played down a Mewtwo. So we do see a collector. It's a collector version of this Zekrom Eelektrik deck, which there's been a lot of debate on whether collector is better than dual ball or dual ball is better. Personally, I think the dual ball route is better, especially in the mirror match, because it gets your stuff out faster. You can play like a Juniper and then dual ball. You can be like, oh man, I have dual ball, junk arm, 2 random cards, and Juniper. Well, at least I can get a bunch of Pokemon out and then Juniper and then be good to go. Instead of going, oh man, I have a collector, junk arm that I can't use, and Juniper. Well, I guess I'll collector and then hope you know, hope I draw something next turn. And it really just sets you back a turn that way. So I think in this format that's so fast, you have to go dual ball. But he does get another Zekrom. I think he's going for a bolt. Okay, so he's going to set up a counter kill when Kyle attacks with Thunderous. So he's... does he have energy? I think it's a DCE though, so something he's kind of reluctant about playing because he's already used one DCE on his first Thunderous, so he doesn't really want to use a second one here because the DCEs are really there for Mewtwo and retreating. He already has one Eelektrik kind of covered in terms of retreating, but he really needs those DCEs for the Mewtwo's. But it looks like he's going to have to use it, so he has to get a knockout this turn. Oh, he's going to junk arm for plus power. Okay. And he's going to use Outrage for knockout. Alright, so that's a pretty good move. It prevents any shenanigans with Thunderous unless Kyle has his own plus power. Now, what do you do as Kyle here? Well, he sent up his Thunderous, so that's indicating he has a second Eelektrik in his hand, or at least a way to get it. He'll have two Eels online. The board will be pretty similar, and he discards a Juniper, so his last card must be Juniper. So yeah, he has a Juniper and a Lightning. So he gets another Eel. I hope he gets another Eel. I'd be quite sad for Kyle if he. Oh, there it is. There we go. So his board position's actually pretty even with Rob. Now, if they just went for 1-to-1 prize trades, Rob would win. However, because Mewtwo exists, right now it's really anyone's game. You don't really know who's going to win yet. And the board position is pretty much the same for both sides. So we will see a Juniper coming out of Kyle. I don't think he needs to attach right now. Wouldn't really net much. Or I guess he could attach to Mewtwo and... Oh, that's a DCE. Oh, yeah. So he's really hoping for catcher here. Oh, there it is. And that Mewtwo on the bench is probably going down. You'd really want to get rid of it really as soon as possible. So he's going to dual ball here, get two more heads, and so far he hasn't flipped any tails. It looks like they're questioning whether the die is flat, but looks good. So he will get two basics. You don't really need to. I mean, I guess you can get another Mewtwo and maybe a Zekrom. Probably actually just two Zekroms. Yeah. Oh, he gets Mewtwo and Zekrom. Okay, so he will have a counter knockout on that Mewtwo. So unless Rob plays like three Mewtwo's, he should be pretty safe in terms of that route. So Kyle will go to 3 prizes this turn, and Rob will. Well, he'll have to play down his own Mewtwo, and then knock out. So Rob would go down to 2, and then, well, what do you do as Kyle? Well, you can just Bolt Strike something, go to 2 yourself, and then Rob will have to go to 1. And because Rob counter-killed Mewtwo with Mewtwo, Kyle would be able to win this game. So this game is very much, I think it's in Kyle's favor, as weird as that works out. However, games are decided by N, so it really just comes down to what each player draws off N at the end game. And Rob does have to have a Mewtwo counter right here. If he does not, Kyle will just run away with the game. So, but it is pretty easy to get a Mewtwo counter. There is a bunch of Lightnings in the discard. Well, let's see what he's doing here. maybe he doesn't have it. Well, let's see. Is there any way to get around this without using Mewtwo? Well, you could Bolt Strike with the fresh one, with the fresh Zekrom, and then get knocked out by Mewtwo, or any other thing on the bench. And then Kyle goes to 2. You could catch up the Mewtwo again, and then knock it out. And then Kyle would go to 1, but you'd be at 2, and then I don't think that works out. But it looks like Rob just has like no draw, no way to get Mewtwo, and yeah, this is really unfortunate for Rob. I think Kyle might have this game in the bag. We'll see. So he does draw a dual ball here. Doesn't really need to use it. He doesn't want to use it, actually. He wants to save it for potential Mewtwo hits later on if he does get end. So we just see some more Dynamotors coming down, powering up both Thundurus and Zekrom. And does Kyle have a plus power? Yep, yes he does. So Kyle's just going to retreat Mewtwo, send up Thundurus, and plus power for a knockout. And that'll put Kyle at 2 and Rob at 4 still. And then Mewtwo becomes very dangerous for Rob to play. So he does knock out the Zekrom. And what can you do as Rob here? Well, it looks like you have to attack with your own Zekrom at this point, which will just get counter Bolt Striked by Kyle. So either way, it'd be 3-1, and Rob just needs a turn where he doesn't get where Kyle cannot take a prize. N would be very good here. So he's gonna Dynamotor onto the bench Zekrom, and he needs some way to deal with the impending Bolt Strike that's coming up. He might just Eek here and hope for the best, but there's so many cards in Kyle's hand. You have to think he has a Junk Arm. You have to think he has another catcher. He's only played 1 this game, so it's very likely to happen. The second Dynamotor, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he's going for the Bolt Strike. So, yeah, still no N. Now that's not. Rob is still in this game. If he does get an N off the next card, then this game can turn around. So he has 2 chances to get it: 1 off the prize, 1 off the top card of the deck. But if it doesn't happen, then Rob could be out of this game. Now, is there a way to secure your victory here as Kyle? Another Zekrom would work. Maybe another Mewtwo. I actually don't like dropping down 2 Mewtwo. That would be... Well, let's see. Yeah, because if you knock out his Zekrom with your Zekrom, or with Mewtwo, I'm not... It's weird. There's so many different ways where Rob could come back into this game, but it's totally dependent on N. Kyle, realizing this, he's getting back his resources. He's using all those cards that he doesn't want to draw later after an N, and just upping his attacker count. So he gets back the Thundurus and Zekrom, and that'll really help him out. Zekrom is very good in this matchup. And you notice how Kyle hasn't played a supporter. Even though he has a bunch, he doesn't want to use them because he knows that he's going to need to draw them later in case an end comes. So you do see another dual ball, I think, for another 2 heads. Really, Kyle? Is that 2 heads? Someone's rolling pretty good today. So we do see that might be a 5. I'm not sure, but he's just thinning out his deck with this. He's like, okay, maybe. Oh, it's just 1 heads. That, or he got 2 heads and doesn't want... No. It's only 1 heads. Because the purpose of this dual wall is to thin the deck out. So he does get a Tornadus, revealing that he does play that, which is more of a... okay. He's going to attack with Tornadus and then power up Zekrom. A very cute move. It prevents Mewtwo from easily getting knocked out. Okay. Oh, he discards 3 junk arms, and this is smart because he's only going to be if N does come, he's only going to be able to draw 1 card, but it takes 3 cards to use junk arms, so they're not going to be useful anymore. Or if they are useful, you're going to have to wait a turn to use it. So he doesn't really want to draw those cards, and he's just playing as best he can around N. He's figuring N's going to come, and I need to protect myself against it. So we do see Mewtwo lose all his energy now, and Tornadus coming up. Tornadus is a very good card. So, yep, we have a Hurricane, and now Zekrom is fully powered, thus limiting what Rob can do down to solely Mewtwo. If he attacks with anything else, then that Zekrom will just come up, knock out anything that Rob attacks with, and that'll be game. But it all depends on if Rob... Oh, there's a Zekrom EX. That also works. Zekrom EX is very strong, but this turn really just hinges on whether Rob has N. If he does not have N, then the game is over, because Kyle already showed him that he does indeed have Catcher. So we do see a Celebration Wind, and we're going to have a fully powered Zekrom EX. Now, there is a path of victory here for Rob because of that Zekrom. If he catchers up Mewtwo, plays N, then Kyle is forced to top deck a Catcher or his own Mewtwo in order to stay alive. So Rob is actually, if he has Catcher N, he's in very good shape to win this game. Surprisingly, out of nowhere too. So here's a Junk Arm, gonna get the Catcher on Mewtwo. Probably. However, he has to have N. If he does not have N, then the game is over. Alright, so Rob... Looking at the Catcher. He gets Catcher. And... that card in your hand has to be N, Rob. Or we're just kind of sitting here twiddling our thumbs. Especially because he played down the Shaman. It's an Eelektrik. Okay, so there's an N. So now Rob is just hoping, okay, I hope you don't have a DCE. I hope you don't have Switch. I know your hand's ridiculous, but I hope you don't have it. Because if you do, game is over. I can't imagine Rob attacking here. So, most likely, just a pass. Yeah. Or most likely an Eek. No, he doesn't want to Eek because he already knows Kyle has Catcher, so it doesn't actually matter. You probably... Yeah, it just doesn't matter. You just pass. Oh, well, he does Eek just to force the Catcher, I guess. However, there is a... It doesn't actually matter, yeah. There's DCE, Retreat, Bolt Strike. Yeah. So, Rob was in very good shape to win this game, if he had N. It's a shame that it didn't happen. But, because of it, Kyle takes game 1, and we'll be moving on to game 2.